All right, let's get right into it. We've got an urgent security briefing today on a vulnerability that needs to be at the absolute top of your list. We're talking about a critical flaw in HPE-1View, one so severe it scored the highest possible risk rating. So let's dissect what's going on.
Everything starts and ends with this number, 10.0. Now, in cybersecurity, you just don't see this every day. It's the maximum severity score a vulnerability can get. It basically signifies a perfect storm, and it demands our immediate, undivided attention.
So, what does a perfect 10.0 truly mean? Well, it means an attacker sitting anywhere in the world can hit your system without needing a username, a password, anything. And the end result? A complete and total system takeover. Honestly, it's the digital equivalent of leaving the master key to your entire data center right under the doormat.
And that data center, in our analogy, that's HPE-1View. Look, this isn't just some random app. It's the central control tower. It's how organizations manage their most critical IT infrastructure. Their servers, their storage, their networking, it's all orchestrated from here. So compromising OneView isn't just a breach. It's like handing over the keys to the entire kingdom.
So here's our game plan for this breakdown. First, we'll dig into what makes this a perfect 10.0 vulnerability. Then, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of how the attack actually works. After that, we'll walk through the timeline, see how it's being exploited right now, and then, most importantly, finish up with a roadmap you can actually use to fix this.
All right, let's dive into the core threat here. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill high-severity bug. We're talking about an unauthenticated remote code execution vulnerability. And that phrase is key, because it means an attacker doesn't just get in, they get to run their own code on your system.
And here's the bottom line. CVE-2025-37164 lets an attacker run any command they want on your OneView appliance without ever having to log in. This hits every single version before 11.00, and the impact is, well, it's total control. They get full command of your entire infrastructure management plan.
Okay, so how does something this bad actually happen? Let's peel back the layers and get into the technical mechanics behind this nasty little code injection flaw.
The attacker's way in is through this specific digital doorway, a REST API endpoint. Now, this endpoint was designed to execute a command, which is fine, but here's the critical mistake. The door was left completely unlocked. It requires zero authentication. Anyone who can reach your OneView appliance on the network can just waltz right in.
And here it is, the fatal coding flaw. Whatever command the attacker sends through that open doorway gets passed directly to a function called runtime.exec. Now, you can think of this function as a direct line to the server's command prompt. There's no checking, no cleaning, no validation. The system just blindly trusts the input and runs it. This is what lets an attacker execute literally any command they can dream up.
This table right here, this breaks down exactly why it gets that perfect 10.0 score. Attack vector? Network, meaning they can do it from anywhere. Complexity? Low. It's easy to pull off. Privileges required? None. They don't need a password. User interaction? None. They don't need anyone to click a phishing link. An attacker needs absolutely nothing except a network connection to a vulnerable system. It's the perfect recipe for disaster.
You know, the story of how this thing went from a private, responsible disclosure to a full-blown public weapon is a masterclass in modern threat response. And the scary part? It all happened incredibly fast. Let's just look at the timeline.
Just look at how fast this all went down. December 16th, a researcher responsibly reports the flaw to HPE. Just 1 day later, HPE gets a hotfix out. That's an incredible turnaround. But then, only 2 days after that, a working proof-of-concept exploit is already out in the wild on GitHub. By early January, the US government is confirming it's being actively used in attacks. The window for defenders to react was measured in days, not weeks or months. And this right here is the moment everything changed. As the security firm Accenture pointed out, once that proof-of-concept code hits the public, the barrier to entry for attackers just evaporates. This is no longer a theoretical risk for some elite state-sponsored group. It's now a commoditized weapon available to pretty much anyone.
So that brings us to where we are right now. This theoretical risk we've been talking about, it's not theoretical anymore. It's an active threat, with attackers targeting this vulnerability in the wild as we speak.
And the real proof is CISA's action. See, when a vulnerability gets added to their known exploited vulnerabilities catalog, the KEV, that's not a prediction. It's a confirmation. It's based on hard evidence from the real world. It means attackers are out there, right now, successfully using this exploit against unpatched systems.
And just to put things in perspective, on the very same day, CISA also added a 15-year-old bug in Microsoft PowerPoint to its catalog.
This just paints a really vivid picture of the battlefield defenders are on. Attackers are hitting us with brand new flaws in modern data center software and at the same time using ancient bugs and legacy apps. We have to defend against everything, all at once. And of course, the attacks are getting faster and more widespread thanks to automation. Botnets are already out there constantly scanning the internet for vulnerable OneView instances. And because the exploit is so incredibly simple to use, it's the perfect candidate for these massive automated spray and pray campaigns.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's pivot and talk about solutions. This is your actionable playbook for defending against this threat starting right now.
The message from HPE couldn't be clearer or simpler. Upgrade. The one and only truly reliable fix is to get your systems onto HPE OneView version 11.00 or a later release. Yes, there are hotfixes available for some of the older versions, but a full upgrade is the only definitive way to slam this door shut for good.
And you better believe there's a deadline. CISA has put its foot down and mandated that all U.S. federal agencies must have this patched by January 28th. Now, while that directive only technically applies to government agencies, it should be a massive red flag for everyone else. If the government is treating this as a drop everything and patch now event, so should you.
So let's boil this all down to a simple 3-step action plan. First, upgrade immediately. This is not negotiable. It's your top priority. Second, review your access paths. Your OneView management interface should never, ever be exposed to the public internet or any other untrusted network. Lock that down. And third, adopt an assumed breach mindset. Because this is such a juicy, high-value target, you have to assume you might already be compromised and start actively hunting for any signs of it.
And we'll leave you with this final thought. The timeline for this vulnerability, from a private report to a weaponized exploit in just a couple of days, that's the new normal. So the real question that every single security team needs to be asking themselves right now is this. In a world where exploits are weaponized in days, is your response plan actually fast enough?